Hey, good morning and happy Monday. Last week we had a very powerful exercise that we did, myself, my inner circle group, and a bunch of our personal clients and millionaire clients. And the conversation was basically around the following phrase. Old phrase, you've heard it before. Work expands to the time allotted. Work expands the time allotted. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever done this? And I've certainly been guilty of it. You got a little free time in your schedule and you say, I'm just going to jump into the office for 15 or 20 minutes, and you come out 4 hours later. You got a little free time and you go, I'm going to jump on the internet for a little bit, and 5 hours later, you've looked at every website and you've watched 5 videos and you've done all this other stuff. Well, see, the reality is work does expand to the time allotted, which is why I've always been a huge proponent of, having a schedule, a list of things we've got to do, specific activities, specific outcomes that would lead us to our end result, rather than kind of doing our schedule a little loosey-goosey, because when it's loosey-goosey, guess what? Work expands the time allotted. Here was the assignment we did for our group last week, and I would challenge you to do the same. I'd like you to get out a big calendar, 2010, the whole year, and here's what I want you to do. Number one, I want you to mark off all of the holidays, vacations, anniversaries, personal days, every natural day that you would want to take off, every time that you would want to take with your family, with your friends, or just to get away. So you carve out all those days. Then you might, for example, take every 6 to 9 weeks, maybe just a weekend getaway. You and I both know we run as hard as we run, as fast as we run, and the work that we do, we've got to give ourselves that little light at the end of the tunnel, that little, couple days off for us to replenish and rejuvenate our energy and our soul before we get back out there and hustle again. So all holidays, all personal days, all anniversaries, all vacations, all anniversaries, every 6 to 9 weeks, and maybe a getaway for the weekend, then go through and mark off all the conventions you're going to go to, all the educational events, all the Tom Ferry trainings, right? Everything that you're going to do to keep your head in the game. And here's my goal. At the end of this, you're going to find somewhere between 190 to about 235 work days. Now, why is that important? Work expands to the time allotted. Too often when I'm talking to a new client, I'll say, how many days do you work per day, or per week, per month, per year? And inevitably it looks like, 300 days a year, 65 days off. And usually what happens is those 65 days off, they run themselves so hard, they run themselves into the ground, they get sick, and they have to take time off. What I'm proposing is you give yourself 200 to 235 days where your only intention is to work, to make a difference, to create a sale, to move your business forward, to move the needle, and then you give yourself that time off to replenish, to rejuvenate, to keep your energy right, so when you're on, and when you're off, you're off. Now, every time I've done this with all my clients, here's what happens. They all start out saying, oh, I can't take this much time off. There'd be no way I could do this. Oh my goodness, a European vacation, or just a vacation, a staycation, whatever. Their response is, I can't do it. What happens? Oh my goodness. Well, I could tell you just story after story after story of the people that once they do the assignment and then they live through that year, every one of them says the same thing. I did a little more business. I had a lot more time off. I got back into some of the hobbies that I used to do. I got reconnected with family members. Only good things come from taking that time off. And then on that time on, guess what? When you're there, they all said the same thing. When I was there, I had to be productive. I had to be focused. I had to make the calls. I had to schedule appointments because I knew I had time off coming up. You know the experience of right before you go on vacation, how busy you get. Well, imagine having that every 6 to 9 weeks, how much more productive you could be. You also know every time you go on vacation or every time you turn that phone off and you can't disconnect, or you disconnect from everybody, what happens? Every person wants to write an offer on all your listings. That's the way it works. So, work expands to the time allotted. Take the time to go through the 2010 calendar. Get everything up personal. Then all your education and training, then carve out your work days, and watch how 2010 could absolutely not only be by design, it will be extraordinary. So that's your lesson of the day. Have an awesome Monday. Have a great Tuesday. I'll look forward to talking to you on Wednesday. Always remember, strategy matters and your passion rules. Thanks for watching today.